So after 9 months, I'm posting again on YouTube. Certainly feels a little bit weird being sat here talking to my laptop again, or at least recording myself talking to my laptop. But here we are doing a bit of content, as you can tell from the title, on Liverpool's start to the season so far. So if you've seen my channel before, or you've looked back at some of my old footage, I did some Liverpool vlogs in the past, back when I was going to match days. Last season, only got tickets to one game, and so far have tickets for one game this season. Going to be going to Liverpool, Fulham in December, so we'll have another vlog up on that. But I thought, why not in between do some kind of content pieces on Liverpool's form, reviews to matches, that sort of thing. And at the time of recording this, we've just played West Ham earlier in the day. So going to be looking at the start of the season so far, going to look at the results, some key players that I would like to talk about, standout performers for me, and also maybe some shock ones that we perhaps didn't expect to be standout performers. And then just, general mood for this early season form, and where it maybe adjusts our expectations to, or maintains where our expectations already were walking into this season. So looking at results, we drew to Chelsea away start of the season, followed up with wins over Bournemouth, Newcastle and Aston Villa before the international break, before beating Wolves, Lask and West Ham as of today, since the international break. So the start of the season away to Chelsea, the potential Bernard Peel fixture really, away to what is deemed one of the big sides despite their awful form last season. And, looking at it now, we can say again this season pretty poor. But it was, it was the start of a new season. They had a lot of new players in it. It was a really, really revamped squad. New manager. There's a real balance going about Stamford Bridge and Chelsea and their prospects, having spent another 300-400 million in the summer. So it was always going to be a bit of a tricky one to get the season underway. We were in a pretty uncertain position ourselves, having just the week before had the Caicedo-Lavia transfer drama with Chelsea, and then only brought in McAllister and Szoboszlai at that point. So it was uncertain territory for us. We started the game really well, took the lead, of course, through Salah, and then, or rather Diaz, and then almost went 2 up through Salah, but that one got chalked off for a narrow offside. Chelsea fought back and got the draw. It was a bit disappointing to see us not keep the momentum, but naturally a draw in the first game away to one of the other big six sides you think is not the worst result in the world and something you take. We then followed that up with comeback wins over Bournemouth and Newcastle, playing a combined around 90 minutes plus of game time across those two games, with 10 men having had a red card in each of those two games. So definitely showed some of that kind of fight back monster mentality that we've been associated with in the past, and it was good to see that we've still got it, especially with some new faces being blooded into the squad. That said, there was a worry in the way we started those games against Bournemouth and Newcastle, and unfortunately, going into future games, we saw that it's been a bit of a trait of our start to the season so far. We followed that up with a win over Villa. We were very, very comfortable, and I'd say so far, I think that's been our most assured performance of the 7 games we've played in all competitions this season. And we'll certainly be looking to see more performances like that coming up, especially as we maybe see some kind of fixtures that we as we take on teams we're maybe more expected to beat. And we then had the international break. We came back. We had comeback wins over Wolves and Lask, before beating West Ham today, 3-1. 3-1 being the score. We've now won by 4 times in our 7 games, so a bit of a popular scoreline. I won't go too much into the detail of each of the games, just because, a lot of them have passed already. I just think, the general basis of this video is kind of look at the overall mood from those performances. What can we take out of them? Well, I think it's quite clear we've got much improved performances coming out of our squad this season. The attack is really gelling. Those times last season it wasn't quite clicking for them. We were having some low scoring games, whereas this season, outside of scoring 1 against Chelsea, we got 2 against Newcastle, and then 3 of goals in each of our other 5 games. So the goals are flowing again. The attack looks a bit more like the Liverpool attack that we're used to seeing. The likes of Nunez and Hakpo a bit more settled in. That was to be expected. We've also got a bit more creativity in the midfield with McAllister and Szoboszlai coming through. So it is looking good for Liverpool going forward. Defensively, we were all over the place last season. I think the new energy in midfield has certainly helped address some of those issues. But it's quite clear we're still giving up some big opportunities. We've fallen behind in, 4 of our 7 games now. So it's something that needs to be addressed. We need to pick it up. I think something that might come with a bit of stability is we hopefully see the likes, we get a more assured starting 11. We've had some key injuries to some of the players, Trent and Canate in particular. Van Dijk was obviously suspended for a bit, and currently McAllister's being shoehorned in as a number 6. Whether that will remain a long-term thing, it remains to be seen. And if it does, hopefully that's something he becomes more accustomed to as he gets more and more game time in the position. But I think there's an obvious reason for optimism, despite those gaps perhaps in the defence at times, the little switches off that are costing us some silly goals. We've definitely ridden our luck at sometimes. Big moments that come to hit. Mind Cunha's miss for Wolves, Newcastle, big saves from Alisson and Almiron also hitting the post. Bournemouth themselves could have gone further up in the first 10 minutes when they did take the lead. And then think to West Ham as well, big chances missed by Souček and Antonio. So we've ridden our luck at times, but we do look a lot better, a lot sharper as a team. And there's optimism that this season we should be back in the top 4 mix and could even stage a title race again up there with Manchester City. I think it's still a bit early in the season to tell if we're genuine contenders. Like I say, I want to see more performances like the Aston Villa game. I want to see more comfortable performances like that, more wins where we're assured on the ball. It's a little less scrappy. I don't think we'll quite be like Man City, who do it so regularly and make it look so easy at times. We are a bit more of a chaotic side. That's fine. It provides more entertainment, but we need a good balance because, of course, we can't do those comeback wins all the time. And we may get punished by sides who start to take some of these early chances that we've been giving away. If they take more of them, it becomes too much to turn that kind of a game around. Gives the opposition a lot more confidence, obviously. But yeah, I think performances have certainly improved, and I think some of the new faces have certainly helped with that. But there's kind of some key players that I want to look at that I think have stood out for me so far in the early stages of the season. I think some honourable mentions that I won't be going into are the likes of Van Dijk and Robertson stepping back up, having had poor seasons last season. 2 key players, we need them on form, and they've stepped back up towards a level we're more used to seeing from them. Salah and Alisson, there's not a lot you can say about them. 2 of our best players, absolutely still playing at super level, and match winners for us at either end of the pitch quite often. So there's not really much that needs to be said about them, but there's kind of 5 players that come to mind for me that I think need to be talked about. Another honourable mention just before that actually I've thrown would be João Consa. The youngster stepped up for us as we had a gap to fill at centre back with injuries to Canate and suspension of Van Dijk. So good shout for him, good performances, and hopefully he'll get some more games in the Cups coming up. But as I say, 5 players who stand out in particular for me. I'm going to kind of work from the back forwards in terms of the team. I look at Gomez and Matip in defence first. Those 2 have really shocked me so far. I'll be honest, in the summer I thought at least one of them needed to be moved on and we should have been looking at getting a centre-back in. I think we do still need to look at getting centre-back in for competition, but seeing the 2 of them step up and perform the way they have so far early season has been brilliant. I think they've proved a lot of their doubters wrong, myself included. And long may it continue, because the 2 of them can play a valuable part in terms of rotation and like I say, providing backup to key players. Gomez, preferred position is centre back. He's been covering at right back in Trent's absence, and also our backup right back in Conor Bradley being injured as well. So massive performances from them. Throwing it back a few years, kind of what we were more used to seeing of them. But yeah, last season they were shocking. Pre-season didn't fill us with much more promise. So really impressed to see how they've stepped up, and hopefully will provide a bit more depth in the defence for us. I think then moving into the midfield, there's 2 names that are obvious to talk about, and they're new signings for us in McAllister and Soboslai. I think Maka has done immense, playing out of position. He's been in the number 6 role for majority, I think, if not all the games so far. That's not his position. He prefers to be further forward. Hopefully we can transition him further forward as the season comes to progress. We can get Endo, Bajetic back in the DM position potentially. I think Endo might need some time perhaps to be bedded in, but Maka has done incredible playing out of position in the meanwhile, covering that position well. I think there's times he's been caught out. Obviously, the Wolves game in particular, he had an awful one off the back of a late return from the international break, though perhaps you can cut him some slack there. But yeah, really, really impressed with how he stepped up to that the task of taking that role. And it's always difficult for a player sometimes being put out of position, because then they know sloppy performances, they maybe get over criticised and it's a lot of pressure on them. But he's really done well, and hopefully we can see him push further forward later in the season. Then on to probably the player that I think is on most Liverpool fans' lips at the moment, Dominic Szoboszlai. What a player he is! The guy is an absolute engine in the midfield, like complete powerhouse player. A lot of comparisons have been made, obviously, to Steven Gerrard. We haven't seen a player of that kind of build or, I guess, caliber in a while, but Szoboszlai is his own guy. We don't need to overdo it with those comparisons, but certainly a lot of promise from him. He covers so much ground. The guy just does not stop running, wins the ball back for us so much, and going forward, he's a very, very creative player. Drives at the defence as well, so it gives us a new angle kind of this player willing to just run at defenders and give more kind of freedom to our front three to find more space as defenders become occupied by it. Now I think to watch for Szoboszlai's runs as well. It has also allowed Salah to get kind of a bit more creative, come inside a bit more with Szoboszlai, often working well down that right wing. So yeah, this guy offers us so much. He's going to play a lot of minutes for us this season. He's going to be a key player, and fittingly wearing the number 8 is so good to see. A player of his ability in our side again. Really a breath of fresh air into our team and our midfield in particular. And yeah, I think he's probably been standout player for me of the season up till now. Definitely top 3. Obviously, Alisson and Salah will always be probably top 3 players if they continue with the levels that they perform at. But he's been brilliant for us. And then the 5th and final player I want to look at is Darwin Núñez, man. This guy has looked so much sharper, so much more composed than last season. He got a lot of stick, particularly of opposition fans who are quick to hate on him. But last season we saw him get in behind a lot, get into great positions, and that was often my defense of him, as I stuck up for him a lot. He was getting in those positions, but the truth of the matter is he was missing a lot of key chances, and his numbers could have been a lot higher than they were, albeit still decent numbers. But already this season he's looking a lot sharper. I think the sort of stat before the West Ham game that after 4 games he had 3 goals and 3 assists. Obviously scored again against West Ham, so I think that's now 4 goals, 3 assists in 5 games for him. So brilliant output at the start of the season. And yeah, he's still missing some big chances, but the difference I think now between these chances he's missed this season and the ones last year is the composure. The chances he's missing are unfortunate shots that cannon off the post or crossbar, or a good save from the keeper. There haven't been too many situations where he's been clear through and it's just been misjudgment from him, where he's not he's lacked that composure and he's dragging shots wide or scuffing shots or just blazing them over, things like that. And he's going to be a handful for opposition defenders this season. I look forward to seeing him evolve even more. I think he's probably going to be our starter now. It looks like he's kind of usurped Hakpo and Jota to get that starting striker role. I think our strongest front 3 at the moment probably does look like the Diaz, Núñez, Salah combination. Having Hakpo and Jota to come off the bench, not bad squad depth at all either. So yeah, a lot going on for us early season, a lot going for us early season as well. Was it 7 games, 1 draw, 6 wins to start the season? At the moment, it is a results business. We just need to keep up with Man City. We need to keep in the hunt if we want to get into the title race. Make the statement when we face the big sides. next week will be an opportunity to do that away to Tottenham. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. Looks like it'll probably be our hardest game of the season so far. So looking forward to seeing how we cope with that one. But yeah, I think expectations for the season, like I said, don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to, I don't want to start thinking we're in the title race just yet. It could fall apart. A few results suddenly don't go your way, and suddenly the picture looks a bit different. But the signs are certainly there that this is more like the Liverpool we know, that we're going to be a trouble for other teams, and we're going to be right in the mix as the season continues. How we cope with playing the Thursday night Europa League as well into the Sunday Premier League games as the season goes on is another thing. But we do seem to have the depth, particularly midfield and attack, look pretty well stacked. So yeah, optimistic for sure, but cautiously optimistic about our chances. Yeah, hoping we can keep the run going. Take on Leicester on Wednesday in the League Cup before that Tottenham game Saturday evening next week. So hopefully we can keep the wins running, keep ourselves in all 4 competitions that we're in. Obviously, with a cup tie coming up, it'd be good to stay in that. And yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you think Liverpool are back? Are we in a title race this season? Is it too early to tell? And who's been your standout player so far for the Reds? Let me know your thoughts and take care. I'll see you in the next video.